Welcome to the Infinite Musician Podcast. I'm Dan Weiss, creator and owner of MFile Music Theory and Songwriting. We are all about helping you gain control of your creative passion and power so you can become the musician you are supposed to be, making the most impact with your music by creating the music that you hear in your head. We're going to start off with a little story. And I want to really frame this whole thing with a really important line, quote, whatever. I guess I'm quoting myself, which is kind of, an asshole thing to do. But it's something that when I said it while I was typing things out, it really stuck out as something that I think we all need to kind of recognize and call out in ourselves when we notice it. So this segment is titled, I was good enough to fool some people, but I wasn't satisfied. Dun, dun, dun. I gotta make some epic orchestral hits for that just to really make my point more dramatic. But so I always wanted to play guitar. That I knew that it was an instrument that had kind of caught me. It seemed really interesting. From a very young age, I was always into the Beatles. I used to watch the Beatles movie Help on like a near daily basis. And I would watch this movie over and over and over again. And the movie is very silly. And there's all kinds of action comedy things happening. They're being chased by people or trying to kill Ringo, and he's got a sacrificial ring. Real hilarious. But there's all these music videos kind of spliced right into the movie. They're trying to record their album, and they're playing these tunes, and they look really cool. And that was it for me. I was like 4 years old. Like, I'm sold. I'll put up my 4-year-old kid dream of being a joking dentist, and I want to be like the Beatles. I want to play the guitar. And for years I always had that. It was almost embarrassing how much I obsessed over wanting to be a guitar player, but never actually did it. We never got one until years and years and years later. As a kid, I was trying to save like an insane amount of money to buy a white Les Paul. I saw, I think it was in a Foo Fighters video, and I was like, that's the guitar for me. I need to have this. I used to listen to old now, but CDs on my Discman and pretend I was playing the guitar. Like while I'm falling asleep, I'm trying to imagine myself playing the guitar and visualizing it happening for so long. And, eventually I got a hold of a guitar, and I would spend hours and hours and hours and hours just playing. I would come home from school and I'd always have that guitar in my hand. Always playing, always trying to get better, learning more songs, not doing my homework. But it was just, I wanted to get better at the guitar, but I mean, what's the underlying thing there? I wanted to be known for being good at the guitar. I wanted to reach people with my music. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be heard. I wanted my own identity. Being able to make music and create music and have something that's truly mine. And that's coming at a time when you're looking for ways to do that anyway, as you grow up and start to realize that you are your own person, separate from your parents and everything. And it's up to you to decide how you want to represent yourself. So music was it for me. I mean, I threw myself into it. And I think really, you see how much everybody loves a musician people go on and on and on about, oh, I love this song. Oh, your parents tell you about concerts they saw, and oh, that was just the best. They were so good. And oh, I love this song. It makes me so happy. So it's like, well, if I can do that, I'll make my parents happy. I'll make my friends happy. I'll make people that don't even know me, don't know that I personally exist, but they'll hear my music. You're seeking admiration and approval. That's that reaching out, right? So, I mean, as a kid, I was always kind of thought as a quiet, nerdy kid. A lot was expected of me in school. And yeah, I just wanted to create something that was mine and nobody else. And something that, it was an intangible kind of thing, but it was just me seeking to rebuild my own self, not based on what everybody is looking at. Oh, you're this. You should be better at this. Do your homework because you got to do this. Teachers and parents and everything, that pressure comes from all sides, especially when you're one of the smart kids and they treat you differently. And it's, I think back so many bullshit things that happened in school where it's like they let other kids down because they feel like they have to focus on certain kids. I've seen too many people who were really smart, but they slipped through the cracks because nobody gave a damn. And, I spent a lot of years being really good friends with those people. And it was the music that kind of, brought us all together. I'd be in high school and I'd be skipping class with some of my buddies and we'd be smoking out back in a buddy's pickup truck or whatever. And there'd always be a couple guitars there and we'd be entertaining people. And there was this like community togetherness, and I started to find that appreciation. People are like, yeah, that's great, and you get the pat on the back and it pushes you further. You want to get better. So eventually I tried a semester at college. I wasn't really into it. Things were kind of crazy and I felt like I was just paying for an extension of high school. And I had to come home. I did one semester barely and I withdrew from classes and I had to move back home at Christmas time, and I felt really lacking in the direction department. So over time, I figured the only thing I wanted to do was music. So why not do music? When I had that idea, I gave myself to my guitar and my music and my songwriting, and I had nowhere else to go. I had nothing else to do. So making music became something that I could, again, but even bigger, build for myself. So my plan was obviously lots of studying, brushing up on my music theory essentials, really getting a good foundation of all these things that I should have been paying attention to in school, but wasn't always, because I was like, whatever, I can just play. I was researching recording equipment and mics, everything I would need for like a little demo studio in my mom's basement. Everything was portable because, the recorder was only about yay big, and it was all digital at that time. This is like 2005. So I spent all my time playing, writing, recording, jamming with anybody I could to hone my skills, and I would play for people and we'd be jamming, and all this time it was always, oh, that's so great, man, that's so wild that you can play that. Wow, you're really good. I could impress people. I was good enough to fool people, but I wasn't satisfied. I knew there was so much more that I needed to be doing. On the outside, everyone's like, cool, wow, that's great. On the inside, I know it's just a couple of tricks. I know it's just a couple of chords. Easy chord shapes. Fumble through the song, everybody loves it, but you could be doing better. You could be putting more into the music. and you feel like you're missing out, and you feel like you're missing out on what you could be giving to everybody else. So hearing back in these recordings was a bit shocking because my timing was not good. That's one of the first things you usually realize when you start really attacking and trying to analyze your own playing and figure out what you're doing. There's a really good chance that your time, your feel, is not as good as you think it is. And I really recommend getting a hold of some kind of device to record with and just really listen to yourself and see what it is you need to improve. So, trying to go and record something, no metronome, because I'm just Mr. Fantastic, right? I don't know shit, but I'm going to do it anyway. No click track, no nothing, and just trying to play along with my backing tracks, and it was a mess. There was no one else to play along with, and granted, when you're jamming, time can breathe, right? But for that to happen, you have to have a really good sense of time and feel in the first place. So, I didn't really know everything I was doing with all my recording gear. It was easy to use, but there was a bit of a steep learning curve. I was working part-time at a dollar store around the corner from my mom's house, just living in her basement while I was waiting to go to music school, and daily beratings from customers and weird people doing things, kids stealing hairspray and lighters and trying to light the dumpster on fire, and old creepy men stealing underwear and being the person that catches them. Like, it was just a lot to have to deal with. And all I wanted to do was just stay in and play music. Going to work just felt useless, especially getting treated with no respect and having to listen to, light FM adult favorites all day. 24 hours of nonstop Michael Bublé, bullshit like that. Like, it was a really hard time. I came down with mono around Christmas. I got incredibly sick, pneumonia, swollen liver. And so that put me out of capacity for a little while. And then loneliness was also a big problem too. I had moved back home, but all my friends were away at school. Like, I was supposed to be. I had all those expectations follow me my whole life, and I was feeling like a disappointment. Everyone seemed to have a lot of, their designs of what I should be doing, and I did not appear to be meeting any of them at first glance. And so that, those two things were fighting for the same space, but only one of them was based in reality. And that was one of the bigger lessons that I had to learn, to keep fighting and keep pushing to get better. That is an angry baby trying to get in my door. You can't put a live or recording in progress sign, because a 20-month-old baby will just pull all the wires out and eat them, and then, try and stab you with them. But I digress. The biggest thing that I had to prove to myself was that what I want is the thing that is reality. I knew deep down that, again, with that thought, I was good enough to fool people, but I wasn't satisfied. I can get better. I can do this. I can make things happen. I can be more than just, a party favor at a barbecue. I want to make real music. I want to actually move people with my music. I want to make an impact. So me spending all this time farting around, back home in Sarnia, and everyone being like, oh, I thought you would have been doing this. Oh, so when you going back to school? Oh, you're going to study music? Like, is that even a job? That was all what they wanted, what they were thinking of. And the only thing that was real was what I wanted, what I was thinking of. And if I let in those thoughts, then their bullshit becomes my reality. So I couldn't let that happen. So what did I do? I locked myself away for a year. It was a prolific period of writing. So tens, maybe 100, 200 songs. Granted, a lot of them are shit, but all those ideas are backed up. I gave myself completely to the creative process and practically applying all of the stuff that I was learning to get myself into music school. And it became this journey of, making music and constantly making better music. So I still have all these songs. I can go through them at any time, and I have in the past. They've ended up on records. Songs that are like 15 years old. The more I wrote, the more I got better at it, the more I was able to experiment with ideas and take things even further. So after endless hours of playing, my skills tightened. It made me a far more competent and confident player. By making creativity a habit, it only strengthened the flow of creativity. Endless hours spent creating and improvising and fearless experimenting. It made me a far more desirable musician to play with. I was still very rough around the edges by much more refined standards when I got to music school. But I managed to make a name for myself pretty quickly for my creativity, for my improvising and songwriting. And because I worked so hard on getting my timing down, people used to say it was like playing with a drummer. I really focused on the groove and the feel and laying that down. You have no idea. Well, you probably do. Walk into a room of guitar players and everybody wants to shred over each other. Somebody needs to lay it down. One person comes in and kind of leads that way and is like, I don't need to show what's best about me. I need to do what's best for the song. And when that happens, you're taking the lead by not trying to take the lead. These were all really important lessons that just were like, unfolding themselves to me. I wanted to build something for myself with my music, but I ended up building myself through my music. If you want to learn more about any of the topics discussed on today's episode, or if you'd like to expand your horizons so you can make the most amount of impact with your music, please be sure to check us out at mfile.ca.